So, BYU, Texas Tech in Provo. Let's take you through all of the games in the Big 12 over the course of the next two segments. Maybe the most intriguing one, I think the most intriguing one to me is Texas Tech and BYU. Here are two teams that got blown out last week. Two teams that got blown out. Now, Texas Tech in a different way. You lose your starting quarterback, Tyler Shough, a couple of weeks ago. Then you lose your backup quarterback, Baron Morton, who many thought should have been the starting quarterback from the jump. And then when you're down to your third string cat, when all looks lost, what should you do? Oh, I think the decision's easy. You should run the football. You should put the ball in Taj Brooks' hands and run the football. That's the only thing that makes sense here, right? I guess not. Not to Joey McGuire. Then there's Jake Strong. Jake Strong, a freshman from Justin, Texas. 6'1", 210 pounds. And he wasn't quite Josh Hoover on Saturday. He wasn't quite TCU's Josh Hoover. One touchdown. That was a great touchdown. SportsCenter number one play, by the way. 3 interceptions. Those were not SportsCenter number one plays. 173 yards for Jake Strong as well. Thrown into the game in the second half in a game that you thought, oh, shoot. Didn't need this to happen for Texas Tech. And they got blown out in the end. Now, Baron Morton has been listed as day-to-day, game-time decision. Will he return this week? To me, the answer is no. I'm running the program. You know, I know Joey from his Baylor days. But a lot of coaches come out like, yeah, you know, game-time decision. John Rice Plumlee, you know, for weeks. Cam Rising for weeks. Like, oh, this could be the week. You know, 3 or 4 weeks, and he'll be back. And then 5 weeks later, you're looking up going, where is this guy? Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not guaranteeing that's Baron Morton's situation. And by the time this releases, maybe it's announced he'll be the starter. But if it's not Baron Morton, BYU's going to win this game. BYU 16-1 in its last 17 night games in Provo. That's automatic. I'll be honest with you. BYU sucks. Any game that's not a night game, the BYU's just not good. Look at what they did against TCU. It was terrible. It hurt to watch. They looked like it's one of the worst performances that I've seen from a Big 12 team this season. BYU's offense couldn't do anything against a TCU defense that's been susceptible to opposing offenses. They couldn't stop a freshman quarterback who had no college experience. First-time starting quarterback. BYU's run game is the worst in the Big 12. One of the worst in the country. It is baffling to me. It's the one area where BYU just doesn't seem ready to be a Power 5 team. The run game. 67.5 yards per game. That's so bad. Texas Tech, 179 yards per game in the rushing game. I know what you're thinking. Where did that come from? They don't get the ball to Taj Brooks. And you're exactly right. Texas Tech has a shot to win this game if you feed the ball to your best player. Zach Kitley, if you just do what's obvious. And maybe if you're down to your third string freshman quarterback, you finally decide as a staff, all right, we should run the ball with our all Big 12 caliber Taj Brooks at running back. No reason Taj Brooks should have only 5 touchdowns this year. He should be at least in the 8 range. 786 yards too is spectacular. 131 carries, that's a good chunk. But now especially, you've got to lean on him. When you get the ball in the red zone, you got to lean on Taj Brooks. This week, they should run the ball. Texas Tech should run the ball twice as much as it throws the ball. Tech's in danger of starting 3-5, 2-3 in conference play under Joey McGuire in year number 2. Facing BYU on the road against Keaton Slovis, who's been a pretty good quarterback. Again, I've said this a few times. I'll go back to it. 1 in every 7 passes, he's the greatest quarterback to ever exist. 1 in every 7 passes, he looks like me out there. And then the other 5 out of 7, he is just the middle-of-the-road quarterback. That's what Keaton Slovis is to me. That's what I saw watching him live against Cincinnati. Can he get it done with his legs? Less so than we expected from him. BYU defensively, allowing 398 yards per game. 250 in the passing game, 150 in the running game. That's pretty even. Those are fairly even splits. 44 points to TCU. 27, you include the garbage time touchdown against Cincinnati. 38 against Kansas. 31 against Arkansas. That's 27, the minimum there over the course of the last 4 games. The other 30 have ended up their opponents in the 30s. Now BYU's 2-2 in those games. Not like they're 0-4. But man, this defense we were lauding so much very early on has looked more stagnant. Now, part of that is because the offense was so bad last week. I won't put all 44 of those points on the defense because Keaton Slovis was bad. The offense itself was just like, oh, well, we're punting again. BYU's punting again. This week against Texas Tech, there's the night game thing. There's the history thing. BYU is not the better team in this matchup, but you might have caught Texas Tech, who is reeling, at the right time. 17-point loss at home to Kansas State and a night game at Jones AT&T. The place that I said preseason will be the loudest, best atmosphere in the Big 12. But LaVell Edwards, I think, at 2 or 3. This week, LaVell Edwards is going to be rocking. That's going to be tough. Texas Tech has gotten that atmosphere once, and that was against West Virginia, and they lost 20-13 to a team that we all see as inferior to Texas Tech. The Red Raiders might just start 3-5, 2-3 in conference, look around the room and think, oh, didn't see this coming. BYU in a night game. There is nothing scarier in college football than BYU in a night game. I think the Cougars cover 4.5. Can they win it? I don't know. Even with the backup quarterback, this seems like a game that goes close. BYU's offense has struggled, obviously. Give me like a 24-21, 24-20 gross football game. The line has moved now to Texas Tech -3. I think BYU covers, and if Baron Morton doesn't play, BYU wins. And this Cougars team is fraudulent against the top competition in the Big 12, but I think you caught Texas Tech at the right time. The aura of this team is not good after that Kansas State loss. And with Baron Morton out, that's going to give BYU an even better edge. West Virginia, Oklahoma State, TCU and Kansas State. That's coming up next on Locked On. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the sports betting partner of the NFL, and it's time to get to their app. The app is so convenient and easy to use. FanDuel has new customers getting $200 right now in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. It's America's #1 sports book. You download the app, you go there, you say, oh yeah, BYU +3, or oh yeah, BYU money line, or oh yeah, TCU -6 or +6 or whatever it is. It's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, the $5 bet at FanDuel. You've been thinking about joining FanDuel. There's no time like now. The app is easy to use. You have spreads, player props, over-unders, and more live betting. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.